Life changes in ways we can never predict. Sometimes those changes break us, and sometimes they reveal strengths we never knew we had. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how my husband's passing shattered my world. Yet through my son, I discovered hope, love, and a strength that carried us forward. Chapter 1. The day everything changed. I was living the life I always dreamed of, simple but full of love. My husband, David, and I had been married for 15 years. He was my partner, my best friend, and my greatest supporter. Together, we were raising our son, Ethan, who was just 12 years old at the time. David wasn't a man of many words, but his actions spoke volumes. He worked as a high school teacher, respected by his students for his patience and kindness. Every evening, after long days, he would come home and scoop Ethan into a hug, asking about his day before even taking off his shoes. We were happy. Our family wasn't perfect. We had bills, occasional arguments, and daily stresses, but our home was full of laughter and warmth. Then, in what felt like the blink of an eye, everything fell apart. David had always been healthy, or so we thought. But he began feeling unusually tired, often brushing it off as just work stress. Then came the chest pains. We rushed him to the hospital, and the doctors confirmed what I dreaded most. His condition was serious, and we had little time. Within months, despite treatments and prayers, I found myself standing in a cold hospital room, holding his hand as the monitors went silent. The man I had built my life with was gone. At his funeral, I barely held myself together. Ethan, dressed in his small black suit, stood by my side, his face pale, his eyes lost. When everyone else had left, he looked up at me and whispered, "Mom, I'll take care of you now." I broke down, hugging him so tightly. How could a boy so young carry such heavy words? Chapter 2. Picking up the pieces. The weeks after David's passing were the hardest of my life. I woke up each morning feeling like a piece of me was missing. Every corner of the house reminded me of him. His books still on the shelf, his coffee mug on the counter, his jacket hanging by the door. I tried to stay strong for Ethan. I forced myself to cook meals, get him ready for school, and continue working. But inside, I was falling apart. Some nights, after putting Ethan to bed, I would cry silently, afraid he might hear me. One morning, however, something unexpected happened. I walked into the kitchen to find Ethan standing on a stool, carefully pouring milk into a bowl of cereal. The table was set with toast and juice. "Good morning, Mom," he said, smiling shyly. "I made breakfast for us." I was stunned. He had never done this before. My eyes filled with tears as I sat down. It wasn't about the meal. It was about the thought, the effort, the love behind it. From that day forward, Ethan began helping in ways I never expected. He started taking out the trash without being asked. He learned how to mow the lawn. He would leave little sticky notes on the fridge that said things like, "You're the best, Mom," or "Dad would be proud of us." Each small gesture felt like a lifeline pulling me out of darkness. Chapter 3. The struggles we faced. But life wasn't suddenly easy. Grief has a way of sneaking up on you when you least expect it. Some nights, Ethan would have nightmares and run into my room, crying, "Mom, I miss Dad." I would hold him close, fighting back my own tears, whispering, "I miss him too, sweetheart. But we're going to be okay." At school, Ethan sometimes struggled. His teachers told me he seemed distracted, often staring out the window. I worried constantly. Was I doing enough for him? Was I strong enough to guide him through this? Money was another challenge. Without David's income, bills piled up quickly. I picked up extra hours at work, often returning home exhausted. Ethan noticed, of course. One evening, he quietly asked, "Mom, do we have enough money?" I forced a smile. "We'll manage, Ethan. Don't you worry about that." But inside, I was terrified. Despite it all, Ethan kept surprising me with his strength. One day, I found him in the living room, trying to fix a broken chair. He looked up at me and said, "Dad would have fixed it, so I'm going to learn too." My heart ached, but I couldn't help but feel proud. Chapter 4. The birthday surprise. The greatest shock came on my birthday. Honestly, I had forgotten about it completely. Life had been overwhelming, and birthdays felt meaningless without David. That morning, Ethan woke me up early. "Come downstairs, Mom," he said, his eyes sparkling. On the kitchen table was a small box wrapped in slightly crumpled paper. Next to it was a homemade card with drawings of hearts and the words, "Happy birthday, Mom. You're the best in the world." I opened the box and gasped. Inside was a simple silver locket. On one side was a picture of David, and on the other, a photo of Ethan and me together. "Ethan, how did you?" I stammered, tears streaming down my face. He grinned. "I saved my pocket money. I did chores for Mr. Jacobs down the street. I wanted you to have something special." I hugged him so tightly, my heart breaking and healing at the same time. "This is the best gift I've ever received," I whispered. In that moment, I realized that Ethan wasn't just my son anymore. He was my partner in healing. Chapter 5: Finding Hope Again. As the months turned into years, Ethan and I grew stronger together. We faced challenges, but we faced them as a team. We began new traditions. On Sundays, we would cook dinner together, experimenting with recipes David used to love. On David's birthday, we planted flowers in the garden, saying, "This is for Dad." One day, Ethan came home with a school essay titled My Hero. When I read it, I couldn't hold back my tears.
He had written about me.
My mom is my hero because even when she was sad, she never gave up on me. She works hard, loves me, and makes sure I never feel alone. She is the strongest person I know. I hugged him, overwhelmed. "Ethan, you're my hero too." Chapter 6: The Lesson of Love. Through this journey, I learned something profound. Loss doesn't mean the end of love. In fact, it shows us how deep love can truly run. David may no longer be here physically, but his spirit lives on in Ethan, in his kindness, his courage, his ability to bring light into the darkest days. My son shocked me not by doing something extraordinary in the eyes of the world, but by showing me extraordinary love in the smallest of ways. He became my everything, not because I expected it, but because his heart naturally stepped forward when mine was breaking. Closing reflection. Today, as I look back, I no longer see only loss. I see resilience, love, and hope. Ethan is growing into a remarkable young man, and I know David would be so proud. Life tested us, but together, we rose above it. After my husband passed, my son became my everything. And what he did, the way he loved, the way he cared, the way he reminded me that family can heal even the deepest wounds, shocked me in the most beautiful way.